Hey folks, it's Kary Oberbrunner. Great to be with you. And I am here with my friend Craig, the COO of Topgolf.
Good to be here, Kary. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, listen, man, it's Father's Day's coming, and we knew it was coming. It's here every year. And you have this amazing book all about fatherhood. Give us the backstory a little bit about this incredible book.
Yeah, happy to do it. So about 2.5 years ago, I asked a handful of buddies to write me a letter on how to be a good dad. And I did it for a few reasons. And what I got back was remarkable. It ranged from David Letterman style top 10 lists that were funny to letters that guys wrote their kids and everything in between. And over the last 2.5 years, the project spiraled and the Dad Advice Project was born, and it has stories and poems and all kinds of interesting things from more than 42 authors.
That's fantastic. So you literally just said, hey friends, write a letter. Who are some of these people? Are they people we might know about? Are they people who are just like everyday people? What do you think?
Yeah, the one thing all these authors have in common is that they're personal friends of mine, and I have deep trust and respect for all of them on so many dimensions. There are a bunch of names you'll recognize, guys like Davis Love III, George Tenet, who was the CIA director on 9/11, Adam Wainwright, the Cardinals pitcher, just some fascinating guys who we all recognize. And then there are a bunch of guys you've never heard of before. And I think what's cool about the book is all of these guys are on a level playing field. And whether you're famous or not, your stories and advice are relevant and they're captured here in this book.
Awesome. What do you think? I mean, we talk a lot about kids growing up today and how kids have changes. What about us dads? I mean, how is, being a dad in 2021? I don't know when you were born, but I was born in 76. I mean, it's a different thing. What are some of the unique challenges that we have today?
I think there are challenges that have been consistent throughout the generations. I'm sure my dad faced and his dad faced. And then there are some challenges that are new. I think the newest challenge that several authors talk about and I get questions about all the time is around the role of technology in our lives and our kids' lives. So, for our kids, screen time, what are they interacting with on the web? Are they learning how to form human relationships in person as opposed to through chat or video conferences or video games? I think for us, we're always on because your office is in your pocket 24 hours a day if you choose to let it be. And those are certainly different generational shifts. I think the one other theme that comes up quite a bit throughout the book in conversation, when I was a kid, it was common for the dads in my neighborhood to go play golf for 6 hours on a Saturday and a Sunday. I feel like in today's generation, if I look at the men and the fathers I've surrounded myself with, we spend a lot more time than that at home with our wives and with our kids and participating in roles that I think it was customary when I was a kid for dads not to participate in. And hopefully for many families out there, that shift has only been a positive one.
That's so good. Wow. So you got the screen thing going on. You got the adults, dads who are more engaged at home. Fantastic. What letter, if any, just really surprised you? Were there certain letters that I like the top 10 thing? What about some of the other letters?
There were a few letters that had a fairly profound impact on me. One of them comes from a buddy named Dirk, and Dirk tells this unbelievably raw and vulnerable story that's heart-wrenching all at the same time. What he basically talks about is he and his wife played distinct roles in the home. His wife was the nurturer and she cared deeply for her kids, and he was the enforcer. And she would use phrases like, wait until your father gets home.
Yes.
And when his wife sadly passed away and he was left with the kids, he realized that because he hadn't nurtured them and had only been the enforcer, there was a lot of foundation building, right, to be done. and he would have done things perhaps differently had he been able to fast forward into the future. So very powerful letter from Dirk. I think, I mentioned the forewords written by George Tenet, who was the CIA director. And in it, he talks about how he's met presidents and prime ministers and kings and all these amazing people from all over the world, yet none of them compare in his life to his dad. And that one line in his foreword reminded me to put in perspective both the responsibility and the privilege of being a dad. And if we do our best, maybe our kids will feel similarly to how, he felt about his.
That's amazing. Yeah, I just scrolled through some of the contributors and it does look fantastic. It looks like you've got just a lineup. Let's talk a little bit about the father wound. There have been a lot of fathers who have been absent or less than stellar. Do you see this being addressed? Do you see kind of a reformation of fathers today?
Candidly, I am so far from an expert on this topic. I don't know. What I do know is that, interestingly, whether you had a great father or didn't, there seems to be an enormous amount of demand from guys like you and me who have kids to go deeper on this topic and to learn more. And for some, I think it's because they're trying to fill a void if they didn't have a good father in their lives. For others, it's because they're trying to replicate something that they saw in their dads and want to make sure they're able to deliver on. I think the point is, regardless of the why, fatherhood is one of those great equalizers where all of us want to do our best. We really have no clue what we're doing, at least at the outset. And the more we can be vulnerable and, for lack of a better term, crowdsource wisdom, the better off we'll be.
So good. What's your goal from this book? I know that, I'm an author and it takes a lot of work to write a book and get behind it and launch it and do interviews. What are you hoping happens from this?
Two things. Number one, I hope this book makes its way to homes all across the country and the world so that dads have a resource that helps them become better dads. And as a result, kids live better lives. I think if we accomplish that, awesome. The second thing is, there's 42 authors in this book. A couple of weeks ago, just before it launched, 30 or so of them came to my house in Dallas to meet each other for the first time. And it was one of the coolest nights of my life.
Wow.
If that group of 42 dads can continue to come together as a support group, not only for one another, but for others who need help and they want to tap into the wisdom and kinship and brotherhood of those 42 dudes, how spectacular would that be?
You got to tell me about that, because I do feel like little bit of a tangent, but hang with me. One of my favorite movies is Shawshank Redemption.
So good.
Yeah. And people, I've done a ton of study on that movie, but it's interesting. It's the top rated movie of all time, even surpasses Godfather voted by the people. But it's about brotherhood and it's about two guys. And at first you're like, wait, the number one movie is about two guys and their friendship. What do you think about this? Like, there's not many media examples of two men that have a healthy, amazing friendship. It sounds like this gathering that you just created almost as the start of something epic. So how important is it that fathers have friends?
Very, extremely. I think what's interesting is all of us have different motivations and personalities. And so for some, you really need the socialization in order to get a sense of fulfillment. An introvert may not, but this idea of having sounding boards who you can bounce ideas off of, share great moments with, share tough moments with, I think inherent in all of us is that we need those things. And the Dad Advice Project for the authors, I think, has become that, because new friendships and bonds have been formed. And the fact that all 42 authors to some extent let their guard down to be a part of this project has created an invitation for any one of them to reach out to, a fellow contributing author to start that dialogue.
Wow, that is awesome. Any big things from that evening where you gathered together? Was there I don't know, was it just social, or did anyone say anything? I want to be a fly on the wall. What happened?
I wish I could go back and be a fly on the wall too, to tell you the truth. It all happened so fast. I think what was cool is it didn't matter what you did professionally. That night was about being a dad,
Ooh,
and
that's
that
good.
was it. I mean, guys talked about their kids, they talked about their spouses, they talked about the world. We had a couple of pro golfers with us, so we talked a lot about golf. It to me was a chance for people to put the professional to the side and just be guys, and we had a great time.
Well, I think you're onto something in the book, because the old macho guy where he never is weak, never is vulnerable. Growing up, I think that the two emotions, at least males were taught they could have, is anger and humor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your book, even just knowing a little bit about it, it seems like you're really bringing this holistic concept, words of wisdom from guys who love being dads. What is this line about? As a former Boys and Girls Club member, so talk a little bit about the charitable aspect behind the book.
Yeah, for sure. I grew up in San Diego, and I spent summers and spring break and holiday breaks going to the Boys and Girls Club in Encinitas. And I'm sure it had an even bigger impact on my life than I may even be able to articulate. And so it was important to me that this book have a charitable component. I've been a donor to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and we'll continue to do that. And this book will certainly help.
That's fantastic. Did media pick up the book at all, or are they continuing to? What's been the response from? I know you already have close to a dozen reviews, and it just came out. It seems to be people are digging it.
Yeah, I'm so grateful and pumped by how the world, or at least the country, has responded to it. We were super lucky when Jordan Spieth posted about it the day the book came out. We've done press with ABC, CNN's about to do a piece. A bunch of really cool, interesting bloggers and influencers have covered it. The local market in Dallas has just been unbelievably supportive. So, we have a long way to go if we want to accomplish the two goals you asked me about earlier. The more this gets into people's homes, the faster it'll have an impact. But we're off to a great start, and I'm really, really proud of the guys who are a part of it for bringing it to life.
Well, guys and ladies, I want to challenge you. Father's Day is on Sunday, and what a great concept. I mean, it's, I think, Wednesday. Amazon Prime members, let me look here. You can pop that right into your cart, and you can get that thing by Friday.
Yes.
On Amazon Prime. So how cool would that be? Right now, it's supporting a good cause, and it's going to just bless the dads that in your life. Maybe just a couple more thoughts here, Craig. You're also a very successful businessman. In fact, when I visited Topgolf in Columbus, Ohio, I mentioned that I knew you, and I'm not even making this up. The person's like, "Oh my gosh, Craig, like, he's amazing," and like he started telling me all this backstory about you, and I don't even know how he knows you, but how can you be good at business and marriage? Can you be good at fatherhood and business? Like, do you have to choose one or the other? What would you say as a guy who's right in there?
Well, thank you. First of all, that's an awesome story about your visit to Columbus. Everybody has their own perspective on this. So I think what I'm about to share, it's one guy's opinion. I think the attributes that make a great husband or a great dad and a great business person, there's so much overlap. I mean,
Mm,
I think my wife and I fell in love because we cared deeply about each other, and we listened to each other, and we push each other in places where we need to be pushed. And, we would never call it feedback at home, but effectively we will give each other feedback on what's going well and what's not. And all of those things, if you carry them over to the workplace and your team knows you love them and care about them and
mm.
want them to be successful and push when you need to, make for great, leadership outcomes and business outcomes. So this idea of being one person in the home and a different person in the workplace, I can't relate to that.
Wow. Awesome. Where would you like to tell people where we can find out more about you? Obviously, the book's available everywhere books are. What if people say, hey, I'm into this, or, I want to learn more about Craig or the project? What would you say?
Yeah, check out the website. It's dadadviceproject.com. You can learn about the project. You can see who all the authors are. Heck, if you want to submit advice of your own, that's something you can actually do through the website. So check out
Dadadviceproject.com.
dadadviceproject.com.
Fantastic. I'll bring it up right here. It looks fantastic. Folks, you are visiting with Craig here. And what a fantastic man. What a fantastic book. And sure enough, yeah, check it out. All the different things right here. The mailing list, meet the authors, background, submit advice. Who did these illustrations, by the way? Super cool.
Yeah, I've always been inspired by the Wall Street Journal digital sketches of all the authors. And so I found an artist, and he was able to do it for us for the Dad Advice Project. And all those images you see on your screen also appear in the book.
I may need to get the name of that guy, but wow, that is cool. I love it. Well, you have quite a lineup here. Great job. Congratulations on the book, the vision, and being a father. And Craig, thanks for blessing us today.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it and look forward to talking again soon.
Awesome. Take care, everybody. You have a fantastic day. We'll see you.